Welcome back to Dry Arabia for an extra special casted game from Low Elo Legends. So this is a tournament that's organised by Rising Empires for all different players from bronze, silver, gold, plat and diamond, so everyone can compete at a tournament level. These guys are in the bottom bracket, so that would be the gold to low platinum level. Let's take a look at the matchup and who we have got. So we've got Feudal in the light blue as the Japanese on the north side, and on the south side we have Super Saiyan 3 in the blue and the dark blue as the French. So this one is really interesting, and just a quick note, Super Saiyan is a controller player, so I'm really interested to see how he handles this, because French is notoriously micro intensive if you want to use those knights effectively, so I'm really interested how he's going to tackle this. We saw on Chico's side that he went for the early Tawara upgrade, so now he is on the berries, and let's take a little look at his scouting path while we talk a little bit about Lel. So I think this is something I've casted directly once, and I would really like to do it more, and I think anyone who wants to compete or wants to play and just have a laugh definitely should be signing up. It doesn't matter what level you are, there's always something for you, and if you're higher than Diamond, there's also the War Chiefs Club, so that you can start working your way up to that professional level, and there's some big names in there as well. So I definitely think it's worth checking out, and I'll put all the links in the description so that you can find out when the next one is going to be, and you can sign up and get involved with the rest of the guys. We can see Chivo is doing quite an aggressive scouting path here, but doubling back over himself, and I think this is something he wants to be avoiding. So you don't really want to go back over yourself, because then you're not revealing any new areas of the map and you're not getting any new sheep because you've already got them. So he definitely wants to go over to this corner, and luckily he's found a cheeky pair of sheep over there. If we take a little look at Super Saiyan's side, we can see he's actually been quite aggressive. He actually somehow missed the two that Chivo has just picked up, but he's working his way around, and obviously as the French he also can see these markets, which since the latest update where you can actually see them revealed on the map, I think that's actually really sweet. So we are going to be expecting, I imagine, the School of Cavalry from Super Saiyan 3, which is the standard play at the moment for the French, but the Chamber of Commerce is also pretty good, but as I say, the School of Cavalry is dropped down. Let's take a little look over at Shivo's side so we can see what he's up to. So slightly slower age up. I don't usually see 4 on gold, so I don't know whether he sent those over a little bit later, but he's going to be hitting up, and I imagine we'll be seeing the Korra Storehouse probably right up against the TC is probably the only place at the moment. That house may be actually blocking a more decent spot, so kind of here, but he should be getting that any second, and we'll see whether he does that or he's going to go for some shinobi nonsense. There we go, so right against the TC as expected, so that's pretty good, nice and safe, and he will actually get that passive wood as well. But he's going to have to be really careful, because those knights are going to be coming his way very shortly. So not shifting over to wood at all, and moving another villager to gold. So it looks like he's planning on doing a really naked fast castle, which is very dangerous against the French. I would be very wary of doing this. Whereas if we take a little look on Super Saiyan's side, a real tongue twister there. He is on the wood, and just a little bit, so it's doesn't look like he's going to be adding in any immediate additional production, and he's very heavy onto his sheep. So he hasn't moved out onto any of the deer yet, which you often see French players doing at this early stage, especially against Japanese, because they don't tend to go super aggressive in the feudal age very early. So he actually could have moved these guys out and gone onto this front deer pack, and then his food income would be even better at this stage. But you can see he's still rallying to the wood because he's got 4 and that's growing, so he's going to be able to drop that. And now we have the School of Cavalry rallied up, so let's take a little look. Let's follow the line just in front of his base. So if I were Super Saiyan, I'd definitely be rallying it straight over to this gold, but whether he has vision on it, so he hasn't actually scouted fully the gold yet, so he doesn't actually know that Chivo is going for that super fast castle age. So this is where he's going to have to be really careful. I definitely want to be getting my scout over here immediately to see what's happening, and on Chivo's side I definitely want to be making sure I can keep an eye on that first knight, because there we go, 447, that's a really decent timing to get that knight out, and we're going to see what damage he can do. No production on the Japanese side yet, which is pretty scary. French is personally my worst matchup, and so having no production, no barracks, or even a tower at this stage makes me feel very nervous. This wall, I think actually a wall's not a bad choice, but you definitely just do it straight to the gold vein, because this one actually doesn't stop anything, because the TC is out of range here, so the knight will just run in here happily and there's no worry. So if you were doing a short wall here from the gold, I think that's a pretty decent attempt. And also like a little short wall maybe here across this wood line just to force the knight under the TC fire is pretty good, but he doesn't have a lot of villagers under the TC to garrison for those arrow shots, so it's not going to be super effective. First knight is just arriving, so slowly galloping his way over. Is he going to get that charge off on that villager? Not quite. Oh, he's a bit too nervous of that TC. You've got loads of armor, mate. Don't even worry about it. 3 armor, that's plenty. You could easily have charged in and got that guy, because one royal knight can charge, and if they get a charge and a hit, that's 1 villager down. So without textiles, you don't even have to worry about any of that other stuff. But we can see that Chivo is being quite defensive now. He's finally getting some defenses going, some walls, but the knight running under the TC a little bit, and oh, okay, so he is trying to do that. I'm not sure about this. Is he going to get in? He is. Oh, that's 1 villager down there. There we go. You see, charge and hit. And even now it's going to be 3 hits, I think. Yeah, there we go. There's the second and a second knight coming in. So now he's already putting pressure. Oh, nice little charge there from Super Saiyan. That charge just getting that final hit before the villager got in. And he's going for a very early chivalry, which I think is a good play if he's planning on going heavy into knights. If he's only staying on 2, that's a lot of resources to spend. But it looks like that Chivo actually has mismacroed a little bit, so he's already got 700 gold, and if he's going for a castle age, he wants to be getting the food as quickly as possible. So you can see he shifted a couple of villagers away from here, and he's really heavy on the sheep here. Really heavy. Don't even know what's going on with my accent today. Villager healing that up. I think the knights actually could probably hit them through the wall. It depends on the positioning, but trying to burn that down, I'd definitely be trying to find some more damage like at the front. This guy happily farming away, that's where I'd be going, diving that wood line, and then you could actually run around the back of the base here, because what are they going to do at this stage? So the knight's going to be circling around. Are they going to get that villager that's building the house? He's down as well, and now there we go, he's just made it through. So this is a really important thing to remember for every level. Buildings are not walls. So although that looks like it's touching the forge, it doesn't actually stop movement. If you do it to the gold vein, they have to go all the way around, because the gold vein acts as an obstacle. This will just mean that they just have to walk around it, which isn't really ideal. That's not really what you want to be going for. But this is very, very bold from Chivo. Still no production from him. I'm absolutely amazed he hasn't tried to drop a barracks at this stage, but he's really committing to this fast castle, and the damage that Super Saiyan is actually doing already is definitely going to slow that down. We can see the villager difference 33 to 27, so it also means his TC's been a little bit idle while he's been doing this as well. Oh, don't tell me you're putting the floating gate there, mate. Whoa, that's bold. A super front floating gate. He's rushing it out with 10, so that makes sense, but we can see units streaming across, archers coming in for the non-existent spears, and what's he going to be doing? Because floating gate, you normally want to see some production. You'd see a stables or a barracks, and then you can print those units out super quickly, as well as trying to grab relics. But at this stage, the knights are burning down the wall. Okay, sure. And the scout has seen him. He's just moving out, Super Saiyan just moving out onto the deer. So yeah, the scout's seen it, but he has no units, so Chivo can't really do anything about it. Stables is going to be dropping down, so he is going for that classic build order with the mounted samurai, which isn't a bad bet really against the French, but to be honest, at this stage he could just go, well, he could go mounted samurai Onimusha potentially, because they are the mounted crossbows with Bannerman, or he could just literally just go mass infantry and just print loads of those units. But yeah, he's in the castle age, but he does have a load of knights in his base, but Super Saiyan needs to be doing some damage. To be honest, he should just be diving this TC, keeping these guys idle, diving the wood line, because they've snuck out over here onto this gold, and if he doesn't realize what's going on, the Japanese are going to be able to get those gold units out. It does look like Super Saiyan has a decent amount of food, so he might be thinking of a castle age himself, but these knights need to be doing some damage, find some villagers, and they can dive the TC at this stage. But here we go. Japanese mounted samurais coming, villagers running straight at the knights for some reason, another villager down, and they're going to be fighting that under the TC. So this is where Super Saiyan wants to pull this away. Don't fight the sheep, you don't need those, mate. That's it. So there we go. Scout is down, but these guys are going to be able to heal up, and Archer's just running out of the base where they've done it. So it looks like Chivo is really trying to defend this gold even though he's out here. So I'd be really careful. I'd be thinking of walling up potentially from here and doing that. So let's take a little look at Chivo's monk. Where are you? He has got a relic, but he's not been rallied back, so he's just waiting for orders. If the knights catch him, oh, please don't say he walks into the knights. Oh no. Oh, please don't do it. Okay, the knights are too fast. I think he's going to make it home. So he does need to drop a shrine. I think it's for the Japanese. They all have different names, but he definitely needs to make sure he drops that so he's getting the benefit. Knights running around at the front, so definitely should be poking a little bit more. Letting the Japanese get these military units out, I think, is going to be definitely allowing him to get back into the game. But with almost 10 villager difference at this stage, it's definitely looking very much in Super Saiyan's favor so far. But as we all know, at this level, anything can happen and you can get back into the game as long as you just keep pushing. So there we go. Mounted Samurai trying to focus on the knights. They definitely should be getting rid of these archers at the back because they're easy pickings, and both players just running past each other. So this is something we need to remember. A move, guys. A move. When you're doing like this, if either player was A moved, as soon as they got near those mounted samurai or the knights, they would have started hitting them. Here we go. A little dive bomb. What I love to see. Villagers getting absolutely slapped by French knights. When it's not my villagers, that's what we love to see. Now focusing on the mounted samurai and moving out after that deflect armor has been taken out. But here we go, a couple of mounted samurai getting the archers. That's a bit of damage there against Super Saiyan, but he's managed to pull them out, and now he's chasing them across the map. So they are going to be going around, and this is where Chivo needs to be taking advantage that Super Saiyan is a controller player. So if he can be out on the map, he can be doing different things, that's going to be working. But if he just stays in his base, French is going to do French things and is going to eat up all that venison here, all the venison here, and start moving out onto the deer and the other food, and that's where you're going to be in real trouble. They also get the eco-techs advantage, so they get cheaper eco-techs, and as we say that, Guildhall dropped in the base ready to hit Castle Age because they've already got Royal Knights. They're in no rush whatsoever. But Chivo is just trying to defend this gold at the moment. I would be saying he probably focused more on food at this stage because he's got a lot of gold in the bank and he's not spending it. So if we take a little look, only one military upgrade against Royal Knights. I definitely wouldn't be going for the attack damage. But oh, some of those archers are about to get caught out, but they're not. Oh no, they're not A-moved, they're focusing on one archer. Okay, now they've killed it, they're going to be working around. So this is where you can see that Chivo is right-clicking on a specific unit, and that's really slowing down the damage that he can do with these mounted samurai. They are good, but 6 samurai against 9 knights, that's still a pretty decent fight for the French, and they are going to heal up, so he needs to keep these guys alive. Look, 2 health there, one of those knights going down, and if they can get out of combat, then they're going to start healing up very slowly. And we can see there, Super Saiyan taking a tactical retreat, as you might say, and obviously he has an advantage because he will have autoville production, so 51 will be working for him, and the French get a speed bonus on that as well. So we can see that automatic +1 damage for Super Saiyan has come in because the French get that for free, which is always very, very nice. And now we're in the Castle Age. Let's flick over to the income per minute when we can see the veteran upgrade for knights and the cantled saddles where they're going to do extra damage after their charge. And that's really, really devastating when you're against it, because then they get that extra bonus 7 damage after a charge on a hit, so they can just take out everything basically. We can see the melee against all non-siege units, so another +1 there, but lots of mounted samurai, so I definitely think we'd want to be seeing some Onimusha at this stage because there's so many knights, or even just spears. lots and lots of spears. I think that's it, because we can see the arbaletier and the archers, they're going to be able to do a huge amount of damage if they get massed up, and we can see lots of knights in queue. So Super Saiyan just posturing outside the base here, but he still hasn't scouted this. He hasn't seen these villagers up here, and he definitely should be keeping Japan off gold. That's one of the main things you need to be doing. Also, if we take a look, Chivo has got 2 relics so far, so that's working really well for him, and we can see the Yorishiro, he's got it in double stables. I'm not a fan of that. Not at all. One in stables to get those units out really quickly I think is absolutely fine. The second one in a different production building, or there's also one in a forge, I think that's pretty good. I would be putting them in houses because he just doesn't have enough food at this stage, or the TC, because then you're kind of matching the French production, because once these villager numbers start getting away with you, it's 1 TC versus 1 TC, but it really isn't. There we go. Chivo just moving out there and getting caught out by those French knights again. Just needs to be moving these units so that as soon as they get close, they're hitting it. The bannerman going in for a bit of damage. Are we going to be taking an engagement? Using the line formation, which I think actually is a pretty good move, but these Royal Knights do have their upgrades and they're going to be doing a lot of damage. Yorishiro in the fight, not sure why that guy's there. He definitely needs to go away because that's value that's being lost. And all of those mounted samurai being taken out there. That was a huge fight for Super Saiyan and he definitely came out on top. If we take a little look, 23 units to 10, and he's got even more in queue. If we take a look at his base, he's got a load of production being dropped and he's going to be making sure he's spending all of those resources. Very, very heavy on gold at the moment, so whether that's so that he can be using that he can collect his food, so he's going to be collecting that. He's got 240 in the bank, so he can use that when he wants to as he masses up outside the base. Other techs coming in, we've got the extra armor, the melee armor for the arbaletier, which is going to mean they're even tankier, but these Shinto priests need to be picking up relics. There's still 3 on the map. So there's 1 here, 1 over by the gold, and 1 here. So this one is probably one of the ones he could sneak around and get, but these ones he also can see villagers. 1 mounted samurai over here would absolutely devastate this gold mine, so definitely want to be doing that. But here we go, Super Saiyan going in for a big push, and Chivo trying to defend, retreating under the TC, garrisoning as many villagers as he can to get that. So this is going to be a big fight for Super Saiyan. I think looking at those numbers, I don't think the mounted samurai are going to have this, but the TC is going to be doing additional damage, so we'll have to wait and see how many, if he can use his defender's advantage to keep on top of this. The bannerman is buffing them up and keeping them alive, but 2 of the knights have peeled off, and are they going to be going for more damage? No, they're all just going for the military units, diving into the wood line there. More villagers going down, and the knights getting separated. The arbaletier and crossbows just sitting under TC fire. They are going to get taken out, but a little bit of kiting. If we move around, we can see them there, and they're also taking out villagers, taking out samurai, and this was a really bad fight there for Chivo, and he is in a tough spot now. 0 military, idle villagers with a tower there. I think this tower is a little bit too late, mate, I'm afraid. And now he basically has no food. He needs to get his villagers back out and producing, so he's going to be in real trouble. No scout and no vision, and half the villagers. Oof, this is a really tricky spot for him now. So how is he going to pull this out of the bag? I think he needs to be getting those Yorishiro and putting them in buildings that's going to give him resources. So I'd be deleting that stables and chucking it in some houses to get that food, so I could start trying to compete on units. I wouldn't be making super expensive mounted samurai, that's for sure. I'd be going horsemen probably to try and get the arbaletiers, and then just a mass of spears, because then they're cheaper and you could mass them up slightly more easily. So that's kind of where I would be going personally. If we take a look at Super Saiyan's side, then we can see he's got siege engineering, so whether he's planning on using his infantry to build some rams and go for that final kill, but he's spending his food relatively well. He's got 900 in the bank now, so he definitely wants to be collecting that, because that would really balance his economy quite nicely, and it's one of the benefits that the French have. But he's also adding in the farms now. I think this is a pretty good move, because he's almost used up all of the food. He's finishing up the boar, and then he's eaten everything apart from the berries on his side, but going for those when he's got the wood, I think, is a pretty decent move. as we thought, some rams coming in, going for this final push now, and I think these knights definitely need to be a bit more mobile, even a couple of these raiding the gold and the berries, because if he hits down here, that's going to be devastating, because it's only 6, but that's like 20% of his economy. Don't quote me on those numbers because I can't do maths at the best of times, but we can see 4 mounted samurai, 5 mounted samurai. Yeah, that's not going to do a huge amount, so these guys are going in for the kill. The ram going straight for the TC, ignoring all the other buildings. This is something I would say, definitely take out the production first. If you take out the production in the houses, they can't make any more units. So then what are they going to do to you? See there, that mounted samurai, if this stables had been taken out, then it would be fine. I also personally wouldn't build rams inside TC range. That's not particularly good. But the mounted samurai are being taken out by those chunky French boys. And we can see now charging around the base, defeating everything that pops out of those stables. Another ram coming in to get the TC, and he's just going to go for that landmark snipe. The mounted samurai getting caught by the arbitriers there. Oh, massive hits on them, and some of the villagers still farming as GG is called. What an absolute massacre there from the French. Now, let's take a look at the post-game review so we can see how both of these players could have done a little bit differently. Here we are then, back before GG was called, to take a little look at the state of play and what both of these players could have done. So let's zoom out, bring up the interface and give it a cheeky little pause. So this was devastating to Chivo's economy. I think these raids, definitely at the end there, he pushed in, and 30 villagers down when it's half of your villagers killed at this stage is really devastating. I think going for the classic fast castle mounted samurai with no defenses and no units, I think was very risky. Generally, my thought plan against the French is you have to kind of follow their lead. If they go super heavy into feudal, you can't just rush castle and expect to survive unless you're really good at defending and you can make the right units. If there was a barracks down and they got that castle just that little bit faster and produced an absolute ton of spears, then they could have knocked the knights back and done a little bit of damage. But mounted samurai don't get the bonus against knights, and so that's really a bad spot to be in, to be perfectly honest. I also think Chivo's initial build order was a little bit slow, so his feudal age was a little bit delayed. Obviously he wasn't making units, but he definitely still wants to, I think, look at that just to get the timing just right, so because then you would be able to produce units and do things a little bit more quickly. In this case, I also think the defensive walls for Chivo were a little bit strange. So I personally would have put a wall straight across here from the gold, and then I would have actually made some units, or I would have put the tower here, so then the knights would have to come in, and you can do that. I would also look at getting the arrow slits in the feudal age, because at least if Chivo is anything like me, it's difficult to respond to raids. If you get arrow slits, and as the Japanese you get freestone anyway, which definitely should have been used to get a daimyo, because he did almost have enough for the next one, but doing that does mean that if the arrow slits hit a unit, you get an attack notification. So you get the nice little red bubble there, and it will ping up, and so you know, oh, there's knights around and I need to do something. Also, it would give you more vision, so you'd be able to see them more effectively, because if we take a little look at the vision here, you don't really get much more than you would do on your TC anyway, whereas if it was here, it does give you that little bit extra, so I think that would have been better. I think the wall on this side was absolutely fine. Really, what you could have done is, if you go to the stone, so use your resources, use the stone, and then go down to the back of the map there, or if he was being really greedy, he could go stone, over to gold, and across from gold. That would also secure gold, stone, and you'd get those berries, whereas now one tower is not going to defend that. The knights would just run past that and get all 6 of those villagers very easily. Lucky for Chivo, Sopasein didn't see that, and that I think worked in his favor. Also, when he did get to castle age, he was there significantly earlier. He should have been getting those relics. So what I would do in this situation, if I were really pushed in my base and I had knights around here, what I would actually do is send my priest right up to the edge, and I'd go down here to the wall and down here, grab the relic, and then run all the way around the outside again, and that would mean that they don't get caught out. And then the same here, you could literally run down the side of the map past the market and down here to grab that one, and you could even be risky and run straight through, but getting 3 or 4 in this case would have really helped his eco and meant he could have moved off the stone and gone to the other resources. With the Euroshare, as I mentioned it during the play, I don't like it in the double stables. To be honest, I think the stables is okay if you're going for that really big tempo, or you need to defend and you're making the counter units. But other than that, I think it's better in your TC for slightly faster production, in a farmhouse for passive food or passive gold. Also, if you're planning on getting the relics, potentially the food to balance out the eco worked, because we can see that at this stage he spent a lot of his resources, but for a long time Chivo had lots of gold and not a huge amount of food. So that would be maybe how I'd have tackled this, but I honestly think in this matchup he needed to go for spears, or he needed to go for mounted samurai and Onimusha, and the Onimusha would have been able to do all the bonus damage against those, and he could have kited with those as well. That would have been really effective, especially with the bannerman as well. If we take a little look at Super Saiyan's side, I think he did really well adding in extra production. So if we take a little look at his production, he's got 3 stables and then also the School of Cavalry and 2 ranges. So he was able to really produce a lot. He'd started doing his full farm transition. We can see he's got quite a few of his eco techs. So we can see the double broadaxe coming in now. Definitely should have got that earlier when you're that heavy on wood, but I think that's a good thing to add in. He's also out on the external resources, which I really like, with some defensive towers. So using those external resources because he has map control, which is exactly what French should be doing. I do think against the Japanese he probably could even move straight out onto the deer pack as soon as he starts aging up to feudal, and that would boost his food income even more. But I think he did the right thing, not just immediately trying to go to castle and using those knights, but definitely needs to be more active when they're out here on these exposed farms. I'd be literally going and poking those immediately, running into the wood line and running out. But also if you're in the base here at the back, that means that you're a danger, and if he's not paying attention, you can get these villagers at the back, you can come and poke the gold, and the TC is well out of range. So actually as soon as you're in here, you're living your best life, and the knights can just continue to raid, so you don't have to worry too much. And if you want to get out, all you have to do is just sneak past the wood line again, and the knights with chivalry would heal up the little tiny bit of damage they'd take. So, and one thing against the Japanese that I've seen a lot of high level players doing recently is taking one unit, so one knight or even just one archer if it was in the feudal age, and just sticking them on the gold. So what he could have done, Super Saiyan could have done, just to be even more detrimental to anything Chivo might have done, would be stick one on patrol here, stick one on patrol on this gold, and then on the berries, so you're defending that food, and it also would have defended the deer here as well. And that means that if he tried to sneak a load of villagers out, he would have got an attack notification, and if Chivo didn't notice, he'd lose all of his villagers, and if he did notice, then he's still going to be off those resources, because if he didn't have these berries and this gold, he would have been out of resources long before now, and would have had to do a massive farm transition, which he didn't have the resources for. So denying those external resources from the Japanese, especially once they turtle up, basically anyone except the English, does huge amounts of damage and doesn't actually mean you need to take out the TC, because no resources, no units, no defense. But I hope you've enjoyed this game. I had a load of fun casting it, and remember, this is for Low Elo Legends, so you can sign up yourself whatever rank you are, and you can join in on the fun with all the information in the description. And the Incan and Nightmare are also going to be casting some of the other games as well, so if you want to see more action from the latest LEL, then check out the links in the description for their videos, and keep enjoying the fun. But have a great day on the ladder. I look forward to seeing you in the next LEL, and I will see you next time for another casted game.